everyone, happy Wednesday. It's Alysia here, and I'm very excited to be with you today for our weekly global online fireside chat. Today I'm broadcasting from the UK Ghana Investment Forum here in London, where I was asked to speak on entrepreneurship in Ghana. Hashtag Go Ghana. With the new government in place, you could truly feel the excitement and new prospects that are ahead for you, our entrepreneurs in Ghana and across the African continent. Once again today, we have an amazing session planned for you. We have a panel of brilliant investors and entrepreneurs joining us from across the globe, logging in to help you understand how to start a business without any free time and still make it work. Living in these incredibly evolutionary times, we are faced with an abundance of opportunities as entrepreneurs. Gone are the days where businesses needed to be built as a full-time job. In this new age, part-time entrepreneurs are becoming the way of the world, and almost everyone has an opportunity to create a business of their own. Our team of experts today will help you understand how it's done. Now I've got you all excited. Let me quickly go ahead and introduce you to our VIP guests before asking them to properly introduce themselves to you. Welcome to New York, USA-based Craig P. Stone, who's an investor, entrepreneur, executive, and innovator. Welcome back to London-based John O'Quayle, who's a corporate finance and corporate capital raising expert, trainer, business coach, and strategy consultant. Welcome to London, UK-based Craig Crowther, who's a global education specialist, innovator, and entrepreneur. Welcome to Silicon Valley-based Marcel Badia, who's a seasoned entrepreneur and travel innovator. And welcome to Georgia-based Vishay Singh, who's a serial entrepreneur and digital innovator. Now, I know you want to hear from them, so I'm going to ask them to quickly introduce themselves to you. Welcome to our VIPs. Craig Stone, all the way from New York City. Please say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with Alysia and with all of you. Very briefly, I started in investment banking, had the pleasure and privilege and a lot of luck to start the company ranging in different areas and sold them off. At this point, I'm chairman and CEO of a company, Stanton Wells and Stone, focusing on investments, real estate, and opportunistic ventures, specifically in artificial intelligence and healthcare. My focus is about passion and helping others. So I look forward to the chat.
Welcome, Craig. Very excited for you to join us. Vishay, please say hi to everyone.
Hi, everybody, and thank you for having me on this talk, Alysia. Truly a privilege to be on it. I grew up in South Africa. I was a lawyer in 1994-95. I spent a lot of time in the first 4 years being a lawyer until I got involved with commercial law, where we were liquidating small businesses. And I realized that there was an injustice to that. And I started trying to salvage those businesses and fix them and keep them going. And that's how I found myself being a serial entrepreneur. And I still do that today in the US. We have an innovation hub now, a startup place, helping startups and small businesses, doing exactly the same thing here as well. And of course, quite a bit in the tech space as well.
Thank you, Vishay. Love having South Africans succeeding in the US. So welcome, very excited to have you join us. Craig Crowther, please say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to be here and be on the call. I call myself the unlikely entrepreneur. I started off in public service for 10 years, the first 10 years of my career. And then after doing an MBA, realized that my passion was in helping other people to, one, recognize what they're capable of, and two, help them achieve it. And that time, I've been involved in 22 business startups, I believe, in about 16 different countries. So my passion is helping people and getting people to recognize that there is no boundaries to what they want to achieve.
Love it. Very excited that you're joining us, Craig. Jono, welcome back. Please say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Nice to join you again. I had a great time on the last call, and I'm sure this call will be equally good or even better. My background is actually in personal growth and business coaching. I ran a business doing a lot of workshops, retreats, seminars, keynote speaking to some of the largest companies in South Africa for about 10 years. Then came over to the UK in 2013 to help a friend get a startup business going. It was an oil and gas company, and we managed to raise about 1.6 million pounds from scratch through crowdfunding it. That business, incidentally, just had an offer for $500 million for a 51% stake in it. So it's been very interesting to see how that has progressed from a startup pounding the pavements of London. And now I'm running my own corporate finance business based in the UK, helping companies to raise capital, particularly if they're in Africa or other emerging markets, to basically position their offering in the best way possible to be able to attract international investors.
Thanks, Jono. Very excited to have you join us. And Marcel from a very early Silicon Valley. Say hi to everyone, Marcel.
Hi, everyone. I'm very honored to be here. I am Marcel Badia. I'm a passionate entrepreneur working to prove and to show that anybody can make the change. I'm the founder and CEO of City Post, and we're going to show how we're going to reinvent social travel.
Love it. Very excited you're joining us. Just before we jump into our questions for our VIP guests, a few shout outs. On the screen are contact details for our VIP guests. Feel free to reach out to them. You can keep sending your questions through to inspireme@onlinefiresidechat.com, and we'll do our very best to include them. Once again, given how many of you are joining us today, we have community champions managing the chat room. So if you have a question for one of our VIPs, we'll do our very best to get it answered. Just a reminder, we have community champions and meetup groups in over 80 cities in 55 countries around the globe, including in North and South America, the UK, Europe, Africa, the Middle East, India, Asia, and Australia. I am not going to tell them all to you because we'll be here for the rest of the night. If you'd like to meet up with your local chapters or you'd like to start your own, feel free to reach out to us via email and we'll put you in contact with our local community champion. On that note, thank you to all our volunteer champions from around the globe. You are the heart and soul of our community, and you know we wouldn't be here without you. Over the next few months, our aim is to inspire and empower entrepreneurs in more than 100 countries. We know that together with your help, we can make it happen. Thank you again to our VIP guests. You are rock stars and we love you. Thanks again to all our family of supporters and collaborators around the developing world for once again hosting sessions for hundreds of entrepreneurs who don't have access to the necessary bandwidth or understanding of the English language to join our sessions on their own. Thank you to all the presidents, ministers, ambassadors, government ministries, UN offices, US Embassy corners, British Council offices, university campuses, schools, business incubators, Chamber of Commerce's, community centers, radio stations, and media for all your ongoing support and for raising awareness in your regions and communities. Thank you to everyone from our UN Women team for all your support as well. We're once again streaming across new live platforms today. On that note, we have some very exciting news, so you better stay tuned. If you'd like us to broadcast from a radio station in your community so we can empower and inspire more entrepreneurs, make sure to reach out to us. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, you want to learn from the best, and they are with us. Just to make our VIPs comfortable, how it's going to work is we're going to pose a question to one of you. It goes to all of you. Please feel free to share your knowledge and wisdom with us. And if you'd like to add anything to what your co-panelists said, please just let us know and we want to learn. So here we go, everybody. We are going to put Vishay on the mark. Vishay, get comfortable because the first question's for you. Vishay, okay. Coming from South Africa, living in the US, you've had this global experience now, succeeding in both places. Do you believe that anyone can start a business?
That's a tough question. I think anybody, if you set your mind to it, anybody can do anything. It's all within you. The power is within you. And I think, like everything in life, there's a lot of challenges. So my view is, and my answer to it, my short and sweet answer is, yes, you can do it. The world has changed a lot, and there's definitely there's an abundance of opportunities, like you were saying, Lise. So, you know, there is something suitable for everybody today to be in business or to be an entrepreneur.
Thank you, Vishay, for starting us off. Craig from New York, do you have any insights you'd like to share in terms of what Vishay was saying?
Well, I would just add and also agree that there are an abundance of opportunities, and if you a lot of us want, basically, good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. So we all learn, we all grow, and the issue is really to find something that you're passionate about, that excites you, that empowers you, that inspires you. And I truly believe that we all have the ability to believe, to achieve. And in that vein, I think most anyone can find something if they are willing to persevere, persist, and determine.
Thank you, Craig. Said it as a true serial entrepreneur. We're going to be directing a lot more questions at you, so just stay tuned. Craig Crowther in London, we'd love to hear your insights in terms of this, given that you've worked with so many startups. I know there's a lot of evidence to say very conflicting things. Honestly, in your opinion, do you believe that anyone can start a business in 2017 and actually succeed?
Hi, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the critical thing for me is, the opportunity to maximize your networks means that anyone can do that. And the whole time thing that we're talking about today, it's not all about what you can do yourself. It's about leveraging those networks and the opportunity and ability to develop those networks and, surround yourself with people who are inspired and passionate about the things that you are. If you do that and do that effectively, then I believe anyone in any environment who puts their mind to it and really believes and wants to do what they can do can achieve their objective of setting up a new business.
Thank you, Craig. And Marcel, we have a question specifically for you, given that you are in the home of tech entrepreneurship. The question goes as follows. If I have a good idea, Marcel, when is it a good time to start my tech business?
I believe any time. I mean, a good idea needs to be developed and built. So, I mean, needs to start working on it right away, and for sure, ask as my colleagues say, surround yourself and ask questions and because they know you already have it, so you need to ask questions and see how you can go from there. But my short answer will be yes, anytime and as soon as you can, because somebody can get ahead of you.
So thank you, Marcel. On that note, Craig from New York, you come from an investment banking background and you understand market dynamics very well. And a lot of the startups that come out of Silicon Valley often say that luck plays a very important role in terms of, having these billion-dollar valuations. Is it true that you can start a business at any time and take it all the way? Or are there times where you should be saying, you know what, I'm going to wait until I start this business until economic times improve? Your honest answer, Craig.
Well, I'll give you a very honest answer. And I'm a big believer in quotes. And there's a quote that says, the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday will stop you from moving forward. You move yesterday. You don't wait for anything. We're on this earth for a short period of time. If you find something, you jump on it. And I would add to the previous panelists that find a mentor if you're not absolutely sure what you're doing. Someone you can trust, someone you can go to, or people that are there. This is an amazing time in history that it's in a paradigm where things are changing so quickly that if you don't jump on something, you will regret it, and you never should regret anything in your life.
Thank you, Craig. And I'm going to quickly give you a follow-up question. I know Vishay's got some insights he wants to share there. You touched on the concept of a mentor. And I know in the US, this is a very big thing. And in the emerging markets, this is something that we're trying to cultivate to help empower entrepreneurs. You've had this extraordinary journey. I'm sure you've mentored a lot of entrepreneurs and you have been mentored to become as successful as you are. Could you share some quick insights in terms of entrepreneurs that are looking to pursue this entrepreneurial journey but know they need mentors? Who should they be looking for to give them the greatest chance of success?
Well, they should be looking for somebody that has a similar interest in what they're looking to do, that has a credibility and integrity, a background and experience that will allow them to leverage their capabilities. I mentor many people, as our panelists do. It's a wonderful thing to give back and to look on a LinkedIn, look where people are doing things that you want to do, contact them. Most people in this world are willing to help. And especially if you have something to bring to the table, you'll have no problem finding a mentor. And if you have a problem, call me.
You're awesome. Thank you for saying that. Very cool. Bashay, please add what you'd like to contribute to what Craig was saying.
Yeah, on his earlier comment, I fully agree in terms of moving with speed. I think a lot of today's time is about speed, but at the same time, there's another concept that I'm very, 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 very much a firm believer of is the windows. It's windows of opportunity, and certain windows, once they open, they can close fast. So. What I've learned over time in the several businesses that I got involved with, and even working with startups now, is like the ability to test tiny. Most businesses and ideas are very well supported by technology, and technology these days is fairly inexpensive. It's a fairly easy way to put up a test something tiny. See what your market has to say about it, or your small group of customers that you want to experiment with, and if you gain traction with that, then open up the taps and accelerate.
So Bashay, we've got a community question. I'm going to jump on in and ask you straight away. You worked with a number of companies in South Africa that were being put forward for bankruptcy. How many of those companies would you say did not test their market accurately, did not do the necessary research, and ultimately landed up failing because of that lack of research?
Circumstantially, I would say 50% of the companies that were going under or liquidating was, of course, due to a lot of environmental conditions. South Africa was going through transition. So there was a lot to do with that, and a lot to do with finding then the right entrepreneurs to see the opportunity, seize the moment, and again, move with speed and take over something and build on it. So a lot of my experience was in that sort of fit. On the other side, it comes back again to how you position yourself, whether you look at your local community, which is very important, and have you built enough marketing, have you built enough credibility with your local community in terms of your services that you're offering, and then to expand that out from your local borders to cross borders, and then to look global. I found that the balance of, say, about 20% of those businesses that we salvaged or rescued, a lot of them was just missing that point, the point of really building your roots first within the community, marketing correctly, and being transparent in terms of what's being offered, and building a faithful followership of customers.
Thank you, Bashay.
Alysia, can I add to that?
Oh, go for it, Craig. Please do.
I think another thing, and we've turned around a lot of companies, the reasons they're not successful, it comes down to talent. And it comes down to really being able to, as Steve Jobs said, when you first do a startup, the first 10 people or 5 people will determine whether you're successful or not. I would add to that also, as importantly, you want to hire people smarter than yourself, which I've always done my whole life. And the great Jack Welch said, I always hire great people and I get out of their way. I think it's one way to be successful in this world.
So, Craig, you've touched on something critically important, so I'm going to jump right in and ask you, because this stuff is so critical to the success of our entrepreneurs' futures. Talking about the team and hiring people that are smarter than you, over the course of your career, have you found that there are certain people that are fundamental to any entrepreneurial team starting out that you need to get right upfront?
I would answer that in this context. I look at my strengths, and then I bring in people that can handle weaknesses that I have. I don't know if there's a universal title or whatever that makes or breaks it. But what you need is, at least from a partnership standpoint, another person or two people to make it work. From a talent standpoint, you need people that you can delegate to and that can create, execute, and deliver a result.
Thank you, Craig. Definitely coming back to you again. Jono, do you want to add anything in terms of what Craig and Vishay were saying?
Yeah, I think I'd reiterate what they said. I think a lot of entrepreneurs start off with themselves, so it's very important that they manage their own time and energy correctly, because they are the business's best asset. Generally, when you're starting up, often you don't have capital, you can't employ people, so you are it for the first few months or maybe even a year or two. And so it's about being able to manage your own time and energy correctly in a way that's going to allow you to perform at your optimum and build the business, especially if you're doing it on the side. If you've got a job or something else that's taking up the majority of your time, you really have to look at your your personal habits, your use of time, and really apply a lot of the wisdom that's out there in terms of managing that, looking at personal growth type tips on health, wellness. I teach relaxation, breathing, meditation, listening to inspiring material, making sure you exercise regularly. I read an interesting thing from Richard Branson where he said when he's on Neck Island, he swims at least an hour a day because it gives him more time. It creates time for him. He gets more energy out of it. So he takes the time to spend that time to make sure that he's basically putting back into himself. I think too often entrepreneurs run themselves down, and they are the best asset in the business. And if you do that, it's not a very clever thing to do, because if you fail, your energy fails, and your asset fails, then the business will fail. And so that's what I would say to start with. Really manage yourself. Yeah, I've said enough on that topic, but there's loads of information out there on how to do that.
Thank you, Jono.
Alysia, could I add to that?
Please do, Craig.
That's a fantastic point. Meditation is key to being successful. Most of the entrepreneurs I know meditate. It's only 30 minutes a day. I do it twice a day, but it's like going to get your car tuned up. It's allowing your body 30 minutes to completely relax without thought. It's a thing that happens to people when they think too much and they get stuck in the same patterns of thought and so forth. And then it's stressed and you get anxious and tense. And what happens is you come back and you're able to do more and more work than before. So if you can learn how to meditate, I certainly stress trying it. And if you do that, you will grow further than you ever thought your potential would allow you to do.
Yeah, I'd really say I agree with that, because I've meditated for many years, and it's an amazing way to boost your productivity, ironically.
So, John,
can I add something, Alysia?
Sure, Vishay, just go for it, and then I'm going to ask Craig a community question. Go for it, Vishay.
I think there was somebody else, but I'll chip in as well. I firmly support it. I've been doing meditation since the age of 6, and I still do it till today. That 15 minutes to 30 minutes in the morning and in the evening, it's really core to just centering yourself and also allowing yourself to have quite a bit of randomness to your day. And meditation can help you with the element of randomness. Sometimes entrepreneurs tend to be focused on being extremely well planned and well executed, and every minute counts. But meditation can help with the element of randomness, and that's where the element of luck comes in as well. The other thing that I find that's very, very useful is journaling and also writing to burn. Two other exercises that help you de-junk your mind and de-junk your mind energy is by writing. Journaling is one really awesome way, and the second one, that when you really want to let go of something or something that's troubling you, it's really good to write that down and burn it, literally burn it, and release it from yourself.
Vishay, you can see you're a serial entrepreneur. Great insights. And I actually have a follow-up question for you. I think Marcel wanted to say something. Marcel?
Yes, thank you. I just want to touch the base of the team and how to build the team. You know, it just don't be afraid to reach out as many. Maybe you can send 100 emails and maybe you can get 10 responses, but you know, just try to find somebody that, as my colleagues say, is related to the industry or the interest. Test them, delegate them, make sure it's communication going, and as they said, my colleagues on my panel said as well. You know, you need to be inspired, but also you need to know how to disconnect. You know, disconnect and you go back, recharge, and you can be more productive as well.
Thank you, Marcel. Brilliant insights. And there's a question that goes to our entire panel. I'm going to direct it to you, Vishay. You've all touched on some very important points in terms of building teams, in terms of hiring people that are stronger than you, in terms of meditating to manage the stress and and those random opportunities that create the luck. Let's talk about being humble enough to ask for that help. I know Marcel's touched on that. Managing our egos as entrepreneurs. Often we have entrepreneurs transitioning from the corporate world to becoming entrepreneurs. Ego and management of ego plays a very important part of entrepreneurship. Vishay, please share your thoughts related to this context that we're currently talking about.
Yeah, ego is a highly sophisticated element that we all that we all possess one way or another. Again, it's a for me, it's a very difficult thing to prescribe or be prescriptive on this, because it's a lot to do with self-discovery, and it sometimes takes time to actually discover how ego can fool you, and how ego distracts you and does not place you on your true north. I guess that's why, we on Earth, and we exist here, partly to discover who we are, and to discover our why and why we exist. And the element that plays against us is ego. To be humble and to be less egotistic, in one way, I think, is a practice. It begins with understanding that you are egotistic, and it begins with self-realization. Begins all within yourself. And the worst thing that you would want is somebody picking on you or telling you that, especially if you are at a very high ego level. For me, I think it came quite naturally. I do believe that when I was in my height of being a lawyer, I was very egotistic. And over time, as I continued to reflect and meditate, and practice, and just become more aware of my surroundings and what's going on in my life, you finally realize, to everybody's point here, that your trusted friends, your trusted partners are the ones that are usually right, and they are the ones that will be able to, in a very diplomatic way sometimes, and sometimes in a very direct way, point out to you the elements of ego that you need to work on as an individual.
Thank you. I think it's critically important to touch on this, given the fact that there are a lot of entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs starting out their journeys today listening who need to know these things. There is a personal journey to be undertaken as far as being an entrepreneur goes, and there's an element of humbleness that comes from being an entrepreneur. Our next question is for Craig Crowther. Craig, in your opinion, based on the companies you've worked with, Is it a good idea to start a business when you still have a job?
Yeah, thanks for that, Lacey. I think it all comes down to circumstance, and certainly in my experience, on many occasions, it's been a matter of starting to develop something and to build something while having that security of some sort of income. I think there's a couple of reasons for that. One, a new organization, a new business is quite a stressful thing. It involves a lot of time and effort. But at the same time, if you then have those stress levels associated with, being able to pay the bills at the end of the day, which in a lot of cases can be what is driving people to do things, then that just adds to that pressure. And I think, this touches on a point that I think the title today for me was really significant. How do you define making it work? And I think, when you look at entrepreneurial startups, wherever they are, in some cases, that's about starting something up because you want to float it and it's a tech firm that you want to make $1 billion from. In other cases, people are setting up businesses to be able to provide for their families, to set up, to do those things. So I think a lot of it's contextual, but I think if the opportunity is there to start and test ideas, to test those thoughts, to test a product, whatever it may be, while you still have that security of a day job, then for me, that's one of the ideal ways of doing things. Clearly, there are other options in terms of VCs and things, but I do think if you can do that, test it, do some of that creative test.
I think we may have lost Craig from London.
Trust.
Thank you, Craig.
Right, sorry,
Craig from New York. It's okay. We got you back. Craig from New York, we'd love to hear, based on all the companies you've worked with, is it a good idea to start a business when a person still has a job? And have you seen any super success stories where people have gone this route?
Yes, because if you look at your day, if you're a real entrepreneur, you get up at 5 o'clock and you've got a couple of hours before you go to work. And I'm trying to be as fundamental and as pragmatic as possible. You go to work from 9 to 5, and then you got another 7 hours to do something. That's a lot of time to be able to start creating, start building, start initiating a fruitful platform that you can grow with. I absolutely believe in that. I've seen many successes in that, especially when people are, in need of some kind of income. On the other side of the coin is other people I know, including myself, just jumped in. There's a great book by Mark Burnett, the producer out of Hollywood, where you just take a chance. I don't recommend this for anybody and everybody, but by putting your whole heart and soul into something and maybe leveraging credit cards as I did and that kind of stuff, things started happening a lot quicker. And I got emotionally invested in what I was doing in a way I probably couldn't otherwise. So it's just the other side of the coin. I've never thought about doing a business and how much I would make. I never thought about money. My goal was always to deliver a result, a successful result. And in that context, as a participative leader and getting collective input from everybody, I had a lot of luck, which is really the residue of design or desire. That would be my thoughts on that point.
So Craig, jumping in before Vishay wants to add something, how did you know you were onto something when you were starting out?
I don't think you ever know, but I believe in your gut. And that may come from meditation. That may come from understanding yourself better, your strengths, your weaknesses. But life is too short. And to get excited and to get motivated and to get energized. And they've done studies out of Harvard where people have pitched to VCs. And then they ask why these VCs pick certain people. It wasn't always the product. It wasn't always the service. But they could feel their inner core of enthusiasm, of inspiration, of empowerment. And that was the reason that they chose them. So that would be my response to that.
Thank you, Craig. Vishay, please go ahead.
All I want to say is that my mentor back home in South Africa, always told me that, Vishay, you've got to have that little shop that pays your bills, and then you have the freedom to think and be a great entrepreneur. So that always resonates with me, whether you have a job or, whether you have some source or an idea or a concept or a business that can take care of your bills and allow you the freedom to then explore and be creative and create the ultimate of what you want to create. It's all relative. Some people want to create billion-dollar businesses. Some people want to create a really, really strong local community business. There's nothing wrong with any of that. And I do believe, and I have seen people keep their jobs. Particularly the U.S. is you can do that very well in the U.S. with franchises. Some people keep their jobs and they get involved in franchises, and the next thing they build out and start owning 200-300 stores over time, and eventually they safely leave their jobs once they've got a good positioning on what they're investing in. So that little shop that pays your bills resonated with me. I always try and figure out some way, somehow, of something that make sure that all my overheads are covered, that would warrant and give me the freedom to then explore and grow.
Thank you, Vishay. We've got a community question for you. I'm going to jump on in and ask you straight away. Of course, we'd love our panelists to share their insights here too. It goes, Vishay, once I've taken the plunge and decided to start my business, based on what you know, what is the best way for me to commit to making it happen, and what should be my first move?
This goes back to what you were earlier talking about, and where there was an excellent point around teams. Having the one thing that resonated from my MBA and always stuck with me is the point of teams. If you want to get started with something, opportunities and resources in today's time is in abundance. I mean, we just listened right now to the fact that VCs are out there. Back in our time, growing up in South Africa, a VC was a figment of our imagination. But in today's time, there's abundance. Firstly, so if you have an abundance of opportunity and resources, the core to the whole thing is formulating the right team. That's the secret to probably the whole thing, to your whole business idea, is to be able to assemble the right energy of people that would support you, whether it's part-time or full-time, 2 to 3 other people that can be your trusted advisors, maybe actively involved, maybe you share their shareholder, but you find the right players to take your idea to the next level.
Thank you, Vishay. On that note, Marcel, I have a feeling you might have some insights here. Anything you'd like to share?
Yes. I mean, I agree totally. I mean, these days, especially with so much technology, anybody can build a website in a few minutes. So many websites where you can make professional connections. So it can happen. You can make it happen.
Thank you, Marcel. Our next question is for Craig Crowther in London. Craig, based on your experience working with new ventures in the UK, what is the best place to go to raise money?
Wow. You don't want individual names at this point, Lisa. No.
That was very funny.
Yeah.
Our money man in New York has to answer this question too, so be ready.
No, okay, yeah. It's not an open competition across the Atlantic. Yeah. I think the honest answer is it depends very much on what your ambitions are and what the scalability of what you're trying to do is. There is a huge community of people, whether through crowdfunding or directly through investors. I mean, London in particular, but the UK more generally, is and has, I think, sort of from my perspective over the last 10 years, become somewhere where if you have an idea and with the ability to share your ideas easily these days, there are people out there who are looking to fund and to back it. I think, again, I would always answer this that says there is no one route. There are many routes, and it depends on what your ambitions and your skills are. If you're looking not to scale something and it's about gradual growth, then you wouldn't go to certain markets. But there are people out there who, if they're passionate about the same things, are willing to put their own money in to support ideas and ambitions that they support. But there is no shortage for sure in the UK or anywhere in my experience of people who are willing to back good ideas and willing to, more importantly, back people who are passionate about what they do.
Very well said. Thank you, Craig. Craig in New York, given all you know, what's the best place for entrepreneurs to go raise funding for their new ventures?
Well, certainly in the United States, the venture capitalists and certainly angel investors who will put less in are always looking and calling, because that's their job, to really find out what is the next great idea or good idea. My suggestion is to listen to any of them and what they're looking for, and then try to make sure your product is ready to go, and at that point go back to them. But make sure first and foremost that you have a platform. That is done here. There's multiple groups who are very interested in funding, certainly in the very hot areas of artificial intelligence. I think healthcare and some of the other panelists could add some other things where there's a great amount of money waiting to go there.
I'm going to have a follow-up question for you, Craig, because I know the community is going to keep asking me this till I ask you. For entrepreneurs outside of the US and especially in the emerging markets, how would they successfully catch the attention of angel investors in the US and actually get them to invest in their businesses?
Well, there's all sorts of conferences and meetings. Again, by going on to a LinkedIn, you have access to the major incubators, VCs, and so forth, who are just interested in great platforms. So anybody around the world can come to the U.S. or the emerging markets or whatever and get access to this. It's really just a matter of a little bit of persistence, a little bit of belief, and a little bit of banging at the doors, and people will open them for you. I promise you that.
Thank you, Craig. I know Vishay's got some insights he wants to share there. Please go for it, Vishay.
Just a practical one. I think what we notice is, if you're as a business person or entrepreneur, look out for the local tech hubs. Look out for the local innovation hubs where people are gathering. Atlanta, here in Atlanta, Georgia, it's growing like anything. And when we hang out in those places, and we hang out in places like meetups.coms, where there are groups that that push towards trying to work with angel and VCs. It's good to network in those environments because you can get some openings, get the right leads, and then next thing you know, you're in front of the right person. And then mining LinkedIn as well is not a bad way to try and mine LinkedIn and get and see who's out there as VCs or directly or indirectly involved with VCs and connect with them and build your positioning so that you can get to pitch.
Vishay, I've got a follow-up question for you, given the fact that you have made the transition from South Africa to the US. Have you had any experience with sites such as AngelList.net that where African entrepreneurs have gone forward, asked investors for funding, and they've been successful? Any thoughts, I think, here are most appreciated by our community?
Thanks. Yeah, good question. Personally, no real experience from the South African side on that, but what you just mentioned, AngelList, there's another one. I think there's another forum called Axial. There's a couple of them, and again, I find LinkedIn pretty useful, and I find Meetup.com very, very useful. And then, of course, in South Africa, I know that there's an innovation hub in Pretoria, funded partly by government. There's a lot of spots in South Africa, in Johannesburg, Cape Town, that you could connect to and bridge over from. One of our famous entrepreneurs from South Africa is Vinnie Lingam. Good guy to follow on LinkedIn, because what's following him and on LinkedIn is lots of angel and VC people that you can start trying to get introductions to, and just work that network as hard as you can.
Thank you, Shane. We've actually got a community question for Craig in New York, and I think we'd love for Craig in London to answer this question too. The question is, should I be thinking 5 years ahead when starting out a business? Do I need to think, will this idea still be interesting to me 5 years down the line before I undertake it? Craig in New York, what are your thoughts?
My feeling is, and certainly the way that we look at business is, what's the next opportunity that's really going to change the world? And then certainly with healthcare, and if you look at artificial intelligence, where 50% of the jobs in the United States will be gone in 20 years, said by people a lot smarter than myself. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, this is something you want to look ahead at, because things are changing so quickly. If you don't look further out, you're probably going to be left behind. So from my standpoint, we're always trying to look out 5 or 10 years and see what might be going on, what could be going on, and certainly go to our mentors or people we know and people a lot smarter than ourselves and get input on that as well.
Thank you, Craig. And Craig in London, we'd love to hear your insights on this too.
Yeah, for sure. I would agree completely. I think looking ahead is critical. But I also think, it depends. If you're doing this on your own and you're only going to do it on your own, then clearly looking ahead at the long term is important. I've been involved in startups that I didn't even understand what it was when the person first came to talk to me about it. And I threw myself into it for 12 months and gave it everything to support that startup and get it off the ground and get it moving, and then stepped away from it and left it to others to take it forward to the next level. So I think, it depends on what your objectives are, but certainly you need to look and make sure things have longevity, certainly because investors will be doing exactly that. But I think from a personal involvement point of view, if you can add value to something and you can do that on whatever time scale works for you and the people you're working with, then shorter term is fine too.
So thank you, Craig. We actually have a question for you. You've helped build all these companies. At any point in your life, did you feel you were burning out from working too hard?
Oh, that's me in New York?
Craig in the UK, then Craig in New York. Craig, go for it. You both worked with a lot of companies.
Yeah.
No,
honestly,
please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think the honest answer to that has to be yes. And I think it would be unrealistic to say no. But I think, the phrase I've kind of lived my entrepreneurial life by is, I try and focus on the things that get me out of bed in the morning rather than the things that keep me awake at night. And often with startups and entrepreneurship, you have both of those things. But I think, yeah, you have to look after yourself physically. Like we've said before, there are things you can do both in terms of meditation and other things. But yeah, the reality is, let's not kid about this. There are times when the day job and setting up businesses and things can be 20, 21 hours a day. And that's not sustainable long term. But certainly there have been periods with multiple things running where that is the case. And if you're committed to something and you're passionate about it, then in the short term, I think, the reality is people are willing to do that. But it's not sustainable in the long term for sure.
Thank you, Craig in London. Craig in New York, please add your insights.
I would absolutely agree with Craig as well. You go through stages where there is a bit of a burnout, and that's also a time to go back to meditation, re-energizing your mind, re-energizing yourself, and getting reignited, if you will, about your project and your goal and with your colleagues.
I'd like to add something about it.
Marcel, give us a sec. I know Jono wants to add something. Jono, please go for it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'd really agree with that. I think you need to go back to an earlier point, really manage your energy. It's not so much about time management, it's energy management. If your energy fails you, then you're going to be useless to everyone, including your business and your customers. So you need to make sure you get enough sleep. I think there are periods, we've all been through them, where you don't get enough, but you pay for it. And it, as Craig said, it's not sustainable. So you've got to make sure you get enough sleep and work out what that amount of hours is for you. Eat well. Good nutrition is really important for energy levels. Exercise at least a few times a day, and relaxation, meditation, incorporating that in. That actually gets you time, because if you do a good meditation, your productivity in the next few hours will be that much better. Listening to inspiring material while you're driving to work, while you're doing other things. And then I think also a point that hasn't really been touched on is relationships with your family and friends. I think very often that gets neglected, because entrepreneurs are so intent on the business, and they forget about, often they've got a partner, they've got a family, they've got friends. I think you really need to get them to buy in to the idea and support you, and involve them, and make sure you do take some quality time to spend with your family if you've got a family. I'd recommend taking at least one day off a week just to clear your mind, and that's a great time to spend quality time with your family, refresh, recharge. Very often you get good ideas when you just take some downtime.
Thanks, Jono.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you. We're just running out of time. I'm so
Sure.
sorry. I know Vishay's got some insights. I know Marcel's got some insights. Marcel, please share your insights.
Just really quickly, just want to mention that was really a good note about the family and relationships. I try to work personally since very early in the morning. I work all day, and when my wife comes home, I try to disconnect. But I'm talking about you need, as an entrepreneur, you need to set up your mind and make sure long term you're going to work long hours. You're not going to have vacations in a long time. So it's some points that you need to realize that you need to sacrifice for it. Thank you.
Very, very powerful words from a Silicon Valley entrepreneur. Guys, make a note of what Marcel just said. Vishay, please add what you'd like to add there.
Yeah, very briefly, I fully support it. I think these were all powerful statements, very powerful question on family and support structure. I think you need to always make time for yourself and recharge, and then at the same time, always put family, your kids, put that as priority, put that as number one, because ultimately that's your true north, and everything else cascades and falls into place.
Fantastic. Thanks, Vishay. Now we have a surprise question for all our panelists, because they are the world's best and we want to learn from them. Panelists, we're going to ask you to tell us, and we're going to go through the entire panel, what excites you in 2017 and which industries are ripe for disruption. So the first person we're going to put on the spot, be ready everyone, is Craig from New York. Craig, what excites you and what industries are ripe for disruption? As quickly as you can.
As quickly as I can, I would say artificial intelligence above anything else. You must look at it. I am totally passionate about it in every way. It's already a part of us, and it will change our world in ways we don't even imagine right now.
Thank you. Craig from London, tell us what excites you, what industries are ripe for disruption.
Yeah, this probably won't come as a surprise to anyone who's looked at LinkedIn, but I believe education is the one that is going to change so much. When you look at global populations and the changes that are coming, our current systems of education in most parts of the world will not deliver what we need them to deliver, but with technology, we can change the way we've done things for the last 100, 200, 500 years. And it's just the most exciting time. That's why I'm where I am at the moment.
Awesome. Vishay, what excites you? What's ripe for disruption?
I think the whole area of cryptocurrency, the way, and more importantly, the blockchain technology that exists behind it. I talk about it as much as I can so that I could learn more about it and get more educated on it myself. I think that's changing the world. I've seen last week $33 million get raised in 5 days through a crowd sale of tokens. And civic.com was successfully launched. So it's a world that's out there, it's real, and it's gonna be very disruptive because of the clarity and the transparency of the blockchain methodology.
And Vishay, you should talk to some of our Nigerian entrepreneurs because they are doing some unbelievable stuff in that space, along with some of our American entrepreneurs. Marcel, what's right for disruption?
Cryptocurrencies, I think we're going to see a lot in the future, in the short, probably 3-4 years, a lot of new cryptocurrencies coming out there. And also, I want to mention travel, hotels, like chains like Marriott, Hilton, are building new brands. Everybody want to fight against Airbnb, so they working hard on how to beat them.
Thank you, Marcel. Jono, as quickly as possible, because we still want to ask you all to do your tweets. Jono, what's right for disruption?
In short, I don't think there's an industry out there that's not right for disruption. I think everything's changing. I think if you can see an opportunity to disrupt a market, you should jump in there and take it, because someone else will if you don't. In my personal perspective, there's massive opportunities in the oil and gas sector and in the energy sector, particularly because I'm involved in that. But I think virtually every industry is going to be reinvented in the next 10 to 20 years. So, and the entrepreneurs who jump in now and do that are going to be the ones who build successful businesses.
Thank you, Jono. Now we're going to ask all our VIPs to prepare their tweet piece of advice, and we're going to come back and ask them. Thank you to everyone for a truly amazing session. Just to keep you posted on our upcoming sessions with some of the world's best joining us again. Next week, Wednesday, we have a very unusual one. We have one specifically focusing on social startups and how to make them create the biggest impact and make them sustainable. I know this is a big one for a lot of entrepreneurs around the world. Then the week after that, our Sunday investor sessions, building leaders and entrepreneurs guide to going from founder to leader, learning from a global panel of investors. And the week after that, meeting the challenges of tomorrow's entrepreneurs, where to from here. Remember to keep us up to date on all your progress and exciting news. We know we love hearing from you. Our VIPs love hearing from you, and they love hearing you succeed. You can drop us an email to inspireme@onlinefiresidechat.com. You can find me as well as our VIPs on LinkedIn. Our champions are also on LinkedIn. Now we're going to ask our VIPs to share their tweet piece of advice. Vishay, please hit it. I know we're running out of time, but we want to hear your tweet.
A very simple, very practical one. Just find your why.
Great advice. Marcel, your tweet piece of advice.
My advice is, do something that you love. Stay motivated and surround yourself with a positive team.
Thank you, Marcel. Craig from New York City, please tell us your tweet.
As an entrepreneur, I would say I'm convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it.
Love it. Craig from London, please share your tweet piece of advice.
Yeah, quite simple. There's no such thing as failure, only feedback.
Love it, love it, love it. Jono, your tweet piece of advice.
Manage your time and energy well. Take time to sleep, exercise, meditate, and spend quality time with family. Remember, you are your business's best asset.
You guys are rock stars. My tweet piece of advice, be grateful for everything you have. We're incredibly lucky to be entrepreneurs. We're incredibly lucky to learn from the best. As our panelists said, be grateful for your friends and families who support you in building your dreams. Don't forget, if you enjoyed today's session and feel there are other entrepreneurs in your community that could benefit from our fireside chat, share the invitations. We need all your help to get to our 100-country goal. Thanks again to everyone for a spectacular session. We want you to have an amazing week. Remember, never, ever, ever give up, and you got to keep hustling. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask our VIPs to shout bye. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Alysia. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Take care.